Okay guys, today we're going to start the last lesson for Unit 1, and that is called Composition of Functions. So first of all, let's talk about what exactly does composition of functions mean. Well, it means to put two functions together. So the notation for that is f of g of x. So this does not say fog. This is one way that we can write it. This is a symbol that represents. So this is read as f of g of x. So that's how you say that. F of g of x is how this is used. This is the notation for that. This is just another way to rewrite it. This is how I'm going to use most of the time. But I wanted you to know that both of these mean the same thing. So this is also f of g of x. So it's basically just putting two functions together, substituting one function into another. And before I do that, actually, I want you to, let's recall a couple of things. So we're going to start real easy with a function f of x equals 2x plus 3. So if I ask you to find f of 2, you would simply substitute 2 in for x. So we would put 2 there, and you would tell me that that's 4 plus 3, which is 7. Okay? So that's a real simple one. What if I ask you to find f of 2x? Well, the same thing. You would take this 2x, everywhere I see an x, that's what I'm going to substitute in for that value. So we're going to say 2 times 2x plus 3. So that's 4x plus 3. Can't simplify that any further, so you would be finished. So that's just simple substitution, evaluating a function for a given value. You're going to use that same concept to help you with composition of functions. So our first example says, if f of x equals x minus 3 and g of x equals x to the third, find f of g of 3. So you always want to start on the inside. So the first thing I'm going to find is g of 3. So just like that example I worked with you with the f of x equals 2x plus 3, you're going to find, you got to figure out which function you're substituting 3 in. Well, if this is g, then I want to go to the function g of x and substitute 3 in everywhere I see an x. So I would have 3 to the third power, and I would probably put that in parentheses. Every time you substitute, put it in parentheses. It'll help you if there's negatives along the way. So then you're going to evaluate that. So 3 to the third power, 3 times 3 times 3, gives us 27. So we're not finished. We just figured out that g of 3 is 27. So now I can come over here and I can replace that g of 3 with 27 because that's what it's equivalent to. So now you're trying to find f of 27. So because this is f, I'm going to go to the f of x function. Everywhere I see an x, I need to substitute 27. So I'm going to have 27 minus 3. So 24 is your final answer. Okay, so example 2, we got h of x equals 2x minus 1 and g of x equals 3x plus 1. Find h of g of 2. So I'm going to rewrite this to say h of g of 2, like that. I think it's less confusing if you write it like that. So again, the first thing I'm going to look for, always working on the inside of parentheses first, we're going to find g of 2. So I'm going to come over and find g of 2. So I'm going to go to my g of x function. I'm going to substitute 2 right there. So 3 times 2 plus 1. So that gives us 6 plus 1, which is 7. So now I know the value of g of 2 is 7. I'm going to come replace this. So I'm going to find h of 7. So now I'm going to go to my h of x function. I'm going to substitute 7 in for the value of this x. So we'll have 2 times 7 minus 1. So 14 minus 1, which is 13 for your final answer. I know this next example says your turn. I'm just going to go ahead and work it with you so you can have some extra examples. So we have if f of x equals 11x plus 3 and g of x equals the square root of x, we are going to find g of f of 2. So let's rewrite that. G of f of 2. So this time, the inside is f of 2. So we want to find that first. So I'm going to just come over here, find f of 2. So f of 2 means I'm going to substitute 2 right here by this 11. So we'll have 11 times 2 plus 3. So 22 plus 3 gives me 25. I always just circle that value so I know that's the one that I'm going to go replace. So f of 2 is 25. So I can now replace that f of 2 with 25. So we're going to go here, replace this x with 25. So square root of 25 equals 5 for your final answer. Okay, so 3 is a little different because it's not asking you to find like f of 2 or g of 3. It gives us our two functions, so f of x equals x squared minus 3 and g of x equals 6x. It wants us to find g of f of x. So basically this says go find what f of x is and substitute it into g of x. Well, guys, right here, f of x is x squared minus 3. So I can replace that. So we're really finding g of x squared minus 3 is what it's asking us to find. So think about that. If that were a 2 right here, you would go substitute a 2 in your g of x function. It's not a 2, it's an expression. That doesn't matter. So you're going to substitute this right here where you see your x. So you will have, let me go here. So g of x squared minus 3 is going to equal 6 times, got to substitute all of this where x is, so x squared minus 3. And then simplify, so we would distribute, so 6x squared minus 18 would be our answer. So our next example, kind of the same thing. So we got f of x equals e to the x power. So we haven't learned about this function yet, but that's okay. We will, but you still can do the composition of functions with it. G of x equals the square root of x. So let's rewrite this. Find f of g of x. So f of g of x is what that means. So now let's think about what we know. Do I know what g of x equals? Yes, it equals the square root of x. So I'm going to replace this with the square root of x. So now I'm trying to find f of the square root of x. So that means everywhere I see an x in my f of x function, I'm going to put the square root of x. So e to the square root of x would be my answer for that problem. This is the opposite of that. This says find g of f of x. So then you ask yourself, do I know the value of f of x, or what f of x is equivalent to? Yes, it's equal to e to the x. So I'm going to replace this, the inside, with e to the x. So g e to the x is what I'm going to look for now. So that means everywhere I see an x in g of x, I'm going to substitute e to the x power. So let me write this. So g of x equals square root of x. So if I'm going to find g of e to the x, I'm simply going to put square root. Everywhere I see an x, I need to substitute this value or this variable, expression, whatever's there. I can't simplify that, so that's our answer. So I know you have another your turn here. I'm going to go ahead and work it with you. It asks you to, or it gives you the functions f of x equals sine of x and g of x equals the absolute value of 2x plus 4. So we're going to find f of g of x. So I'm going to ask myself, okay, what is g of x equal to? And I'm going to replace that first. So I'm really looking for f of the absolute value of 2x plus 4. So everywhere I see x in my f of x function, I'm going to substitute this right here. So that is going to be equal to the sine. I see an x, I got to replace it with all this, of the absolute value of 2x plus 4. Same thing here, they just switched it around on you. So this is the same thing as asking for what is g of f of x. So I'm going to go figure out, okay, what is f of x equal to? It is equal to sine of x. So I'm going to replace that. So now I'm looking for g of sine of x. So I'm going to go here to g of x. Anywhere I see an x, I'm going to substitute sine of x. So that's going to say absolute value of 2 times sine of x plus 4. And we can't simplify that, so that will be your answer.